If you have come here to get some health gyan on yoga, meditation, and the wellness space, then you come to the right place. That is called the Yoga Conversations podcast mini clips. We'll be having multiple guests ranging from Simon Borg-Olivier to Khurshid Batlewala. So let's get into it. I have a question connected to, let's say, your students itself. Um, it could be, it's possible that your students who come to learn yoga, but there are many other students also, a set of group who come because of a specific illness, any kind of chronic illness, and there is a possibility that they might have been misdiagnosed in their earlier part of their life, for which they are bearing a pain for now. Do you or have you faced any kind of incident like that with your students?
Yeah, look, there's many people like this. Almost everyone gets a misdiagnosis. And I'll share one story with you where you can see how the simplest things often have been overlooked. And it was a situation where a young woman came to me, probably mid-30s, and she said to me, I've come to you, Simon, as a physiotherapist who knows yoga, because I understand that you're good with hips. And I have a hip problem, she says. My hip really hurts. And, I said, show me how it hurts. And she lifted her hip up and you could see the pain on her face as she lifted her hip. And I said, I think you're holding your abdomen too tight. She said, what do you mean? And I said, relax your abdomen and breathe into your abdomen. So she did. And she goes, oh, the hip problem's gone. And I went, oh, that's okay. Well, that's good, isn't it? But she was paying me to see her for 1 hour. So I talked to her for another hour. But basically the problem went within a few seconds. And then she came back the following week for a second treatment. And I said, so how is your hip? And she said, oh, the hip is fine. That's really good. She said, but guess what? My lower back problems have gone completely. And I said, did you have a sore lower back? She said, yes, I did. But I was, I didn't mention it because my hip was so bad. So I only told you about my hip. But what you told me to do last week, basically relaxed her abdomen, fixed up her lower back as well. And so I treated her for another hour. I got her doing some simple movement from the core, breathing from the core, which doesn't mean her abdomen becomes soft. It means her abdomen becomes firm sometimes, soft at other times, but always you're able to breathe into the abdomen. It's what I could call firm, but calm, which in yoga we might call sthira sukham asanam, as opposed to an abdomen which is firm but calm is one which will be firm to touch, but you can breathe into it. Whereas often when people firm their abdomen, they can only breathe into the chest because they've inhibited their diaphragm. So I taught her this, how to always be able to breathe into the abdomen while her abdomen is either firm or relaxed. So in the third week of her classes, she came back to me and I said, so how is your hip? And she goes, oh, it's fine. And I said, how's your lower back? And she says, oh, it's fine. She said, but guess what? And I said, what? She said, I'm not constipated anymore. And I said, were you constipated? She said, oh, I've had chronic constipation for ages, but I didn't tell you about it because my back was so bad and my hip was so bad. And I went, oh, okay, fine. So I treated her. We did another hour of 5-dimensional flow. I get her to move actively from the core, breathe naturally from the core, move fluidly in a nice, graceful way. And she came back the following week. Well, actually, a month later, she came back. And she said, I said to her first thing, so how's your hip? Is it still good? Her hip's fine. How's your lower back? She said, that's fine. She said, how's the constipation? She goes, no, it's perfectly fine. And she said, guess what? And I said, what? She said, I'm pregnant. And I went, oh, well, I don't think I had anything to do with that. She said, I said, why were you trying to get pregnant? And she said, I've been trying to get pregnant for years. And she thought she was infertile. And actually all that I did was just tell her to stop pulling in her abdomen to tighten the core, as many people are taught this. They're taught to really tighten the anal muscles, the pelvic floor, draw the navel to the spine, make deep breaths into the chest. And so this is sort of a thing which is very popular. It's taught in many classes of yoga and exercise and fitness, but it causes so many problems. So she was misdiagnosed as having a hip problem, a lower back problem, a digestive problem, and a reproductive system disorder. Was all she really had was the mental condition of thinking that it was important to draw her navel to the spine and take deep breaths into the chest. And this just caused her nervous system to shut down. Her internal organs turned off of digestion, reproduction, and it caused a locking of the spine, which meant that no longer was her spine able to move. So it became very, very tense and compressed, causing back pain. And because the spine wasn't moving, all the stress went to her hips. So then the hips became overtense and caused pain. But really, all of those things were a red herring. And the real problem was she was just thinking that it looked better and it was better for her function if she tightened the pelvic floor, pulled the navel in toward the spine and locked her exhalation muscles to the abdomen and only breathed deeply into the chest and basically overtensed, overbreathed and locked her neutral spine with her shoulders back and down. And that was the big mistake. I saw it as soon as I saw her, and all I had to say to fix all of it was just relax. Especially relax and breathe naturally into the abdomen and move actively from the core. That's a lot of cases are like that.
So basically, contacting her stroke, is it?